I mean, it feels like a physical game every game. Feels like it's been a physical season. But yes, I think, I feel like I've been on the ground a little bit more this series so far. But we just keep getting back up, so that's all you can really say.
Before the third game of the WNBA Semifinals against the Las Vegas Aces, Caitlin Clark is enraged. Game 2 wasn't the Indiana Fever's only defeat. It had been torn from their grasp. This had little to do with outplaying, and most definitely had nothing to do with skill. No, the tale of this evening concerned how the officials essentially handed Las Vegas the victory. In all, 41 fouls were called, 16 of which occurred in a single quarter. On almost every possession, players are hitting the ground. However, Lexie Hull fought through a back injury that renders her doubtful for Game 3.
Watch how the third quarter goes down. At least they called this one. A'ja Wilson creams Lexie Hull like she did 5 times in Game 1. Peggy Hammock get 15 calls in a row and one goes another way and she starts screaming and crying. A'ja Wilson doesn't like Lexie Hull. She's always pushing her, but that's an illegal screen, and then Lexie Hull gets called for a foul.
The fact that Indiana managed to battle through the pandemonium just serves to exacerbate the situation. Recall the first game.it was more than just a victory. It was a declaration. Indiana entered the 2-time champions' home, the Fortress in Las Vegas, and disciplinedly destroyed them. Locked in from the first tip, Kelsey Mitchell showed that she could take center stage against the league's top players by scoring 34 points in the game of her life. The A's attempts to play fast and showy were thwarted by the Fever, who also moved the ball and managed the tempo.
A'ja Wilson's just a big bully. Look at this. Throws Lexie Hull on the ground. Everything she does is illegal. Look at this one. A moving screen, and then pushes Lexie Hull. Do you think they ever call a foul on A'ja Wilson?
People were aware of the inequality even in that victory, though. Already, it appeared that the whistle was skewed in favor of the Aces. Despite the lopsided foul totals, Indiana's superiority kept the problem hidden beneath the score. You could still feel what was about to happen. Las Vegas felt ashamed. Payback was unavoidable because the league's best
and A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces lose Game 1 on their home court to the Indiana Fever, 89-73. The Indiana Fever were in control of this game from start to finish.
The second game then came. The Aces had goals beyond winning. They desired to return the message. The question was how far they would go to regain momentum, not if they would respond. The response was as unattractive as they come.
In the WNBA, you cannot blindside somebody and set a screen on them without enough time for letting the player being screened react. And then look at this. This one, their arms lock up, but you gotta let go at some point. Like, you can't bring the person closer to you and just stay locked in while the offensive player is trying to get the rebound. But we know A'ja Wilson only receives fouls.
In the first few minutes, Las Vegas switched from basketball to physical force, collisions on all parts, including the shoulders and forearms. Under the pretext of playoff aggressiveness, the referees allowed everything to happen. However, when you accumulate 16 fouls and 41 fouls in a quarter, that is pandemonium rather than...
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow? And when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm, it's about timing, it's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
All of the trips on the floor were sliced to bits. The precise opposite of their identity, a squad designed to run and flow, was compelled to play broken half-court sets. And Las Vegas dominated the free throw line, while Indiana faltered via stop-start possessions.
Yeah, Lexie, obviously you were a late add to the injury report today. Just how are you feeling this morning with your back, and what do you have to do to be able to play? I mean, I'm feeling sore still, but I think just a lot of treatment, trying to get, our bodies as ready as we can be. Part of playoffs, I think, for everyone is it's the end of the season. Everyone's a little fatigued, everyone's a little sore. So just trying to go out there and do the best I can. Yeah, a lot of treatment with our trainers. I'm really thankful for them to spend a lot of time with me today, a lot of time with me yesterday, getting me ready for tonight.
Nobody better personified this struggle than Lexie Hull. She wasn't supposed to be out there at all. The majority of players would have sat because her back was already injured from Game 1. However, Hull fastened his seatbelt, took the court, and engaged in combat. What was the response from the Aces? They went after her, each and every box out. Defensive.
This is what happened. They cut it to 8 and they get 4 fouls in a row. That was not a foul. That was not a foul. This is crazy. 4 consecutive fouls. So from 8, it goes to 13 really quick, and the rest was history. It looks like Howard got hit in the arm by 2 players. They don't call foul. It was a shot clock. But the rest of the game were just a whole bunch of fouls being called, people flying.
Nevertheless, Wilson was praised in the headlines. The box score glows up with 25 points, 9 rebounds, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. However, such figures don't explain how they got there. This game wasn't won by Wilson's skill alone. At the other end, she got whistles Indiana never saw, forced collisions, and bullied her way into the paint.
Yeah, I mean, it's how you look at it. It looks, honestly, by some of the fouls and the way it was going, it looks like we were almost too physical, but yet at the same time, I feel like we have to be able to get that on the other end. I think, sometimes when you just look at the game as a whole, when you look at the way that it works, sometimes you manipulate it into different ways and you have smaller matchups. So, I mean, I just don't think it's really possible all the time for some of those smaller matchups to really do such a clean job of that. But hey, I'm here to hoop, so none of my business.
Aaliyah Boston experienced that shift directly. Although 10 points and 13 rebounds seem decent, they don't reflect the frequent elbows, shvees, and missed calls. There was a war on every board she took. More body than ball was used to contest each shot attempt. This hurt your player is being handled like a dummy for crash tests. And she continued competing rather than giving up. Although her line appears steady, it was actually in survival mode the entire time.
Hull kept her out of that space as much as she would have wanted to. She did end up with 19 points.
7-0. Aces run has been stopped. Sims in.
Odyssey Sims is also deserving of recognition. Frequently dribbling past double teams, taking hacks, and attempting to make something out of broken possessions, she scored 18 points. The whistle blew to halt the play each time she discovered a rhythm. The game was always restarted by a foul call whenever Indiana gained momentum. Sims had more than just points.
Purcell and Young. Sims over. Asia Wilson, she had to put some extra arc on that.
The tragedy of Game 2 is that the fever didn't subside. They were forced to participate in a mud fight they had not agreed to. Hull's shooting, Boston's rebounding, and Sims' drives all demonstrated their tenacity, but Vegas's physical strength and whistles put out every spark. Indiana's flaws were not revealed by the Aces. The referees supported their strategy of using foul-heavy mayhem. And this is the question that everyone ought to have. What will happen when the series moves to Indiana if Vegas has to rely on both the authorities and shady tactics to win at home? What would happen if the Fever arrived back at Gainbridge Fieldhouse with their supporters furious over the outcome of Game 2?
Steph, on that note, with Kelsey just having a little bit of a, they were able to contain her a little bit more. How did you feel like they were able to be successful in that regard?
I mean, the physicality won. She's like a little pinball. I know that the museum's right down the street, so sometimes I feel like she's getting pinged around everywhere.
Because, let's face it, this did not demonstrate the A's superiority. It demonstrated their desperation. If the officials' 41 fouls and incessant stoppages turned Game 2 in favor of Las Vegas, strategy was the other decisive element that in particular. How did the Aces totally shut down?
The physicality is out of control, that's for sure. I mean, you can bump and grab a wide receiver in the NFL for those first 5 yards, but you can do it in the W for the whole half court. You put 2 hands on somebody like that, it should be an automatic foul. They have the freedom of movement freedom of movement. There's no freedom. And I'm not saying that we're not fouling too. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's out of control.
The true tactical tale is that Mitchell set them on fire everywhere in the opener. Hesitancy drives, mid-range pull-ups, three-pointers, and even daring attempts at the rim are all possible. Vegas didn't have a response. However, she was overwhelmed by the second game. She didn't suddenly lose her scoring ability, as she was only held to 13 points. This was the outcome of a concentrated...
Now the starting point guard, and here's Hull, an early test. Great sign because her shooting has been off.
Yes.
Mitchell, short. Hull with another offensive rebound, turn, shoots, scores. 2 of their last 3. Hull again, yes.
Oh, you found it.
She was constantly subjected to multiple bodies by the Aces. Defenders protected Mitchell's face as if she were the only player on the floor, even when she didn't have the ball. She took elbows and bumps every time she chopped. She had screens put up, but they were destroyed by flat-out crashes or hard hedges. The shot clock was fading by the time she discovered daylight, and her appearance had diminished.
The Fever run still. Lexie Hull has scored the last 6 points for Indiana with a couple of threes. Mitchell, good look. And she got it. Kelsey Mitchell in that first half had 9 points, but was just 1 of 5 from three-point range. It was Lexie Hull doing the damage from 3, and now she's doing a Kelsey Mitchell imitation of the night. Sims gets the roll.
What's crazy is even Vegas's coach, Becky Hammond, later said that she wasn't happy with how physical the game had gotten. Consider that. The whistle and the stop-and-start pandemonium that disrupted Indiana's flow were advantageous to her squad. Nevertheless, she continued to be frustrated at the physical level. That particular element is significant because it validates what all onlookers could see. The result wasn't entirely based on astute modification.
If I just asked you to look forward to this series going to your home court in Indianapolis, how much is that really going to make a difference in this series, and how much does it mean to you guys to have that home court advantage?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Our fans, they show up and they show out, and so for us just using that, our own energy, but also using the energy in the crowd, I think it's going to be really great for us.
Arms across the body or shives to the back were used to fight each rebound. Each post-up became a wrestling match. Vegas also became astute. After moving Boston out of position and spacing the floor, they allowed A.J. Wilson or Jackie Young to drive into open spaces where assistance was delayed. It was exploitation rather than art. They forced her to make a decision since they understood.
Yeah, we're excited. I know the last time it was the first playoff game in a really long time, so to be able to have 2 more for our fans that have been there with us all season, really excited for that, and we definitely do feed off of their energy, so we're really looking forward to it.